Is this the way this whole thing ends, with a year-long CR?
Well, I think what Donald Trump would like to do is just shut the whole Congress down, which essentially Mike Johnson has given in and done by not having us in session for a month now. I mean, the fact that they have just shuttered the doors here when we have Trump's America that is raising costs for everyone. We have a looming explosive looming healthcare crisis in terms of affordability, and the Republicans refuse to show up to work. It is completely unnecessary and outrageous that a member of Congress would suggest that we cede all the appropriations authority to the administration and that we do a one-year continuing resolution and just extend this whole thing for another year, regardless of whether it's Joe Biden's budget numbers. That is irresponsible, and it reneges and steps back from our constitutional role for the power of the purse and to make sure that we have a good quality of life that is funded so that people can make sure that they can make ends meet. But Republicans don't care about that, clearly.
What if there was something to entice Democrats to come to the table on this idea related to those expiring Affordable Care Act premium subsidies? Is there any world where there could be something that is offered in order to get this longer-term stopgap measure officially over the finish line?
We don't need a longer-term stopgap measure. We need to make sure that we vote to reopen the government, that we sit down during the discussion to prepare to reopen the government, ensure that people's health care costs don't explode. Democrats have been focused on lowering costs, canceling the cuts, and saving Americans' health care. I have a father of 5 in my district, Tyler, who is going to have his health care premiums go up $1,200 monthly for his family of 5. I have a receptionist in Cooper City who is going to see her health care costs triple. But so this has to be a conversation that is part of the end of the fiscal year spending decisions that we're making. We do not need, we have made short-term continuing resolution agreements into the beginning of the following calendar year. That's what we should do. And we're not going to cave in to Republican threats. And we're not going to let Donald Trump continue to rummage around the federal budget and do whatever he wants with it.
Well, it's interesting, Congresswoman, because whether it was Jason Smith with us today or many other Republican lawmakers who have talked to us over the past 22 days have said that if Democrats voted with us on the CR, we would already be engaged in negotiations about extending Obamacare premiums. And it sounds to me like this just boils down to a simple lack of trust. Is that where we are?
Well, you know, if people who show you who they are, you should believe them the first time, as Maya Angelou said. They weren't willing to negotiate on the enhanced premium tax credits expiring before we got to this point. And there's no reason to believe that they would do that now. They need to commit to sitting down now, come to the negotiating table, call the House back into session, and negotiate an extension of those tax credits so that people's health care costs don't explode like Donald Trump has caused all other household costs to explode during his presidency.
Just to put a finer point on it, Congresswoman, what if there was a promised vote in the House, much like we're seeing in the Senate, for once the government does reopen, then there could be a vote on a one-year extension? If Democrats got a promise that this could happen in both chambers, not a guarantee the policy would change, but that at least there would be a debate and a floor vote, is that something that could be a viable option to get us out of this shutdown?
Tyler, we're not looking for a floor vote that, you know, Republicans are just going to come in and vote no and go home. We're looking to cancel the cuts, to lower health care costs, and to save Americans' health care. So the only thing that will meet our demands, which are on behalf of the American people who are going to be priced out of their ability to afford health care and cause them to use the emergency room as a much more expensive and much more dangerous access point for health care, is to sit down now, come back into session, negotiate an agreement on extending those health care tax credits to make health care more affordable and keep it affordable, and reopen the government. Those have to be done at the same time, because trust me doesn't work anymore with these people.
So Spending time with Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Democrat from Florida. Looks like we blew up another alleged drug boat. Congresswoman, this is number 8 now, and it's a little bit different this time. It wasn't coming off the coast of Venezuela. Apparently, this took place in the Eastern Pacific, according to the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and CBS News is reporting that it was the Pacific side of South America. So I don't know if we're talking about a boat that originated in Colombia. I guess there were a couple of people killed here, and there's been conversations on Capitol Hill about war powers. In fact, a War Powers Act resolution failed in the Senate. I know they're working up another one, but at what point will Congress have an answer to this kind of activity?
Well, I mean, a War Powers Act is certainly appropriate, but you know, this strategy is ludicrous. I mean, if you just kill people, then they are not able to give you the evidence and turn around and help us make sure that it leads to the arrests and the stopping of the drug trafficking and arrest the drug dealers that are running these narco terrorist routes. Just blowing them up is not going to result in an end to the drug trade, and he's not even going after the boats that are actually stopping the flow of drugs into the United States. That route is through Mexico, not through Venezuela, although Maduro is certainly a narco-terrorist that needs to be stopped.
Well, there are suggestions that the administration might be up to more here. I mean, we have a massive military presence that we have gathered off the coast of Venezuela. Certainly a naval flotilla. We've been flying B-52s over the country. They at one point flew an F-16 or a couple of them over our boats. Is this going to be something that results in regime change? And could we see the same thing happen in Colombia?
Joe, I can't underscore this enough. All of that Donald Trump is doing now is a distraction. He is keeping Maduro in power because he is funding his narco-terrorist regime by allowing oil proceeds to flow into Maduro's coffers. Donald Trump lifted sanctions on Venezuela, allowed oil lease sales, and allows the profits from those sales to flow into Maduro's coffers and keep him in power. Donald Trump's policies are financially keeping Maduro in power. He is illegally in office. He didn't win the election, and we need to go through a process that will transition him out and establish Edmundo Gonzalez, the rightful president of Venezuela. But Donald Trump is just enabling his continuation as an illegitimate president, while, you know, a whole bunch of showy distractions off the coast have nothing to do with actually getting rid of him.
So, Congresswoman, just to build on this conversation, what are some of those tangible policy proposals that you think actually could get done in the near term to address these issues that you're outlining?
Well, we need to engage the Latin American leadership. We have had both the Colombian government, you know, who I think is erratic, but the Colombian government, the Chilean government, we've had the support of leaders in the region that Trump is now alienating with these actions that he's taking against boats, and the CIA announcement about their involvement in Venezuela, because the track record of the United States is not very good, Tyler, and going through that kind of regime change, it conjures up really terrible memories. So instead of rallying Latin American leaders around making sure that democracy can truly be established in Venezuela, Donald Trump is funneling money right into Maduro's hands. He's making a show of blowing up drug dealers that aren't even part of the drug trade that is coming into the United States, which is through Mexican routes, and you know, moving military apparatus off of the coast while keeping him in power through the money that he's allowing to flow in through oil lease sales. He's a hypocrite.
Congresswoman, I know you don't get to the White House a lot these days. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's pretty wild what's going on over there with the construction of this ballroom. They broke ground a couple of days ago, and the Washington Post has been reporting that the destruction of much of the East Wing has been expanded beyond the initial plans that were put forward, that the White House, in fact, did not get permission to do this. We're obviously dealing with the People's House here. And I wonder if Congress will have an answer to this as well. We're showing images right now It almost looks like a bomb hit the building. They're hosing it down as a backhoe just tears the wall off the side of the East Wing. And, they're not done, of course. I'm wondering your thoughts on this, if it is, in fact, a modernization effort that needs to happen, and the fact that it's privately funded. Should the president get credit for that?
In Donald Trump's America, everything is more expensive: gas, utilities, rent, groceries, health care. And he is not only focused on raising hundreds of millions of dollars from billionaires that he's wining and dining at the White House to build himself a ballroom, but he's also trying to get the Department of Justice to reimburse him, to line his pockets with $230 million to reimburse him for legitimate investigations where he stole intelligence information from the federal government after he left office. Donald Trump is focused on lining his own pockets and wining and dining the wealthiest, most fortunate Americans, instead of focusing on reopening the government. And now on top of that, to add insult to injury, he's going to leave the country. That's unprecedented, to have a president leave the country and decide that foreign policy right now is more important than making sure he helps our parties sit down around the table, work together, get this government reopened, and stop the health care crisis, cost crisis that they are causing.